on our rights. Hey, hey. The heart of a man, the way of this land. Injustice for all was never the plan. Nah, it's never the plan. Justice beats for the soul at heart. Justice beats, that's our heart. Justice beats for the soul at heart. Justice beats, that's our heart.
Good morning, y'all.
Welcome in, everybody. This is episode season 8. Welcome. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about our upcoming season. We're going to be talking about just a little back the Justice Youth Show and the Justice Beat Show. And then we're also going to be giving you guys a little bit of an appetizer for what's to come. So we'll have our lovely associate producers talk a little bit about their episodes. And yeah.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a minute. We're so glad to have you back. Carla.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to our youth watchers. We're out here and we're ready to get back to an exciting season. So I'm going to let Miss Elaine go ahead and get us started this morning.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to hear from our production team members, our associate producers. I would like to at least acknowledge them. Zaya, good morning. Lauren, good morning.
Good morning.
Rachel, good morning.
Good morning.
And you all, the voice that you heard was Jules. She's our technical production lead. She handles all of the responsibilities for getting us online every Saturday. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody, right? Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. So who's looking at the, I don't have my other screen up. So I know we wanted to spend the first segment discussing about the internship program. So I want to tell you a little about Carla and I are going to talk to you about the internship program, and let her start on the youth side.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Carla Sutton McKinney. I'm the senior associate producer for the Justice Youth Talk Show, and this will be my third season. And coming in, we have interns or students from Adler University. And they've joined the program. And like we've said already, there's the Justice Beat that handles the adult issues, the Justice Youth. We handle our young people issues, as I like to refer to them as young people. And basically, our interns come in. Sometimes there are already shows semi-developed. They come in, they grab hold of the topic. They're finding speakers, they're organizing our questions, they're making contacts. And basically my role as a senior producer, senior associate producer, is just to allow our interns who are now been elevated to associate producers themselves, it's their responsibility to develop the shows. So what I'm doing from the background is helping navigate if they're struggling with finding a speaker for our youth show. If they're just unsure how to move, we work from the background, helping them and guiding them in a way so that they really take charge of, developing the show. It's not my responsibility to develop it. It is their responsibility with minimal guidance. We have what we call at the end of the week, we have an opportunity for us to all come together to talk about our struggles, what has went well, what we need, what they may need help with. But basically, that's what we do with the youth show. I'm a former teacher, so I have a passion for young people and where they're going, and helping them move from a place where they've been introduced to the justice system. Let's help them move from that place where they are now into a different direction. So that's my whole focus of being here and partnering with my sister who started this 9 seasons ago. So, all right, Elaine,
well, thank you, Carla. So let me give you a little bit of history and backdrop. Our partnership began with Adler University in the summer or fall of 2021. Before we developed this extensive and very robust partnership with Adler University, we kicked off our very first season on January 20th, 2020. That particular date was significant because that year we kicked off our first show on Martin Luther King holiday. And with my background, having been in civil rights and having worked for the organization he founded in Atlanta, I wanted to have a memorable start that signified what we were about, and that's social justice. We started out with one intern and myself, and we produced several episodes for the first year. And then when we developed the partnership with Adler University in Chicago, we were able to kind of build out a more robust show, which spinned off into 2 shows. We started out with the Justice Beat, which focuses on adults. And now we have the Justice Youth, which is solely and exclusive about young people in the juvenile justice system. Fast forward, we are now in our 8th season of the Justice Beat talk show, in our 3rd season of the Justice Youth talk show. And we're very excited to see what will be unfolding this year. We've got some dynamic young adults working with us on our production team, and they are responsible for the development and build out of each episode. And so we are very, very, very appreciative of them, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this, especially in the manner in which we've been able to expand our offerings. So we're just really excited to have them. With that said, I want to make sure that everyone is aware that we are in a very formal, recognized internship program. If you know young people that might be interested in interning with us, we're year round, including the summer. You can reach us, and we'll put some information up at the end of the episode where you can reach us. Okay. Now I'd like to turn it over to our production team members to give them an opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about their experience so far. They've been with us since October, and they'll be with us through the end of April. So we want to hear a little bit about your experience, why you chose this particular internship, and what have you learned from it to date. So not everybody raise their hand at one time. I'll pick. Let's start with Jules. And you'll need to come on camera.
All right.
You need to come on camera, Jules.
Perfect. Yeah, for some reason my camera is like not working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about
No
that.
problem.
But next week, hopefully, we'll have that figured out. But yes, hello, I'm Jules. I am an MFT, or Marriage and Family Therapy Master's at Adler University. I chose this specific internship because I'm taking a undergrad about incarceration. And it was just like extremely, extremely interesting. And I feel like that this is such an important topic that not a lot of people talk about. And so I think the work that we're doing here is super worthwhile and just have access to. And then let's see, learned so far in this internship it has to do with like the technical side of things, like figuring out all the platforms, all the videos, stuff. So that's been really helpful. I like really enjoy doing this stuff too, so it's like perfect for me. But yeah.
Okay, great, Jules. Thank you. Thank you. So you want to pick someone to go next?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Shazaya, and I chose this internship to address the lack of information available to Black Americans about their rights and resources available within the justice system, with minorities being disproportionately incarcerated. I sought to expand my knowledge on legal rights and avenues for reform. My ultimate goal was to educate myself and my community and equipping them with the information needed to help prevent injustices.
Great. Thank you, Zaya.
No problem.
Zaya, I do have a question for you,
Yes,
Zaya.
ma'am.
What is your major? What is your
Oh, I'm
background?
sorry. I'm a doctoral student at Adler University.
Okay.
What area are you seeking your doctorate in?
Psychology.
Psychology. Okay, awesome. Okay,
Mhm.
great. All right, who goes next?
I'll pick Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm also a doctoral student in clinical psych right now. And I wanted to do this internship mainly because I've always been really interested in the intersection between mental health and legal related matters. And there's a lot of different inconsistencies and concerns within the justice system and like the prison systems that I wanted to be more knowledgeable on and have been getting a lot of knowledge on through this internship by reaching out to people and learning even just specific issues that I hadn't even thought about before.
Oh, nice, nice. Give us an example.
Great, great.
I think like one example um was like, for example, somebody's doing, I think, something with like media and the intersection between that and how that affects like prison
Mhm.
systems and information, and those are just things that I really hadn't even thought of before, honestly. So I think just like expanding my knowledge on things that could ultimately, just make me a better future clinician.
Mhm. What is your major in, Rachel, again?
Clinical psychology.
Clinical psychology. Okay, great.
Mhm.
All right. Last but not least, Lauren.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Griffin. I am a master's student at Adler University, studying marriage and family, couple and family therapy. And I chose Justice Beat / Justice Youth because I do have a passion for social justice, and I think it's extremely important because there's a lot of misinformation up, out there around incarceration, and I think it's important to stay educated, especially as a Black woman, but also just educated on the issues that people of color are facing within the system and the injustices that are surrounding the system. I also think it's extremely important to know options and get to know everybody's stories because everybody's different. Everybody's gone through a different background leading them to where they are now within the incarceration system. And I just think it's important that we realize and understand that. So, yeah.
I'm gonna put a bug in your ear. So, as you said family marriage therapist, is that the
Yes.
area? Okay.
Yeah. Couple of
So
family.
an area in the event you haven't considered, but there's a big need for clinicians in the space of family reunification, post incarceration, either adults or youth returning home from incarceration. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay. All right. So now that we've got the introductions out the way, everybody's had an opportunity to share their whys and their whats. Let's move into the space of discussing the episodes that are coming up for the Justice Beat Talk Show. And the two, who all were on, who's on the JB, or did we split them among the three of you? I mean, the four.
They're split, so everybody has episodes from both
Yeah.
shows. So we can begin with the Justice
Okay, so
Beat.
let's just talk a little bit about what the viewers can look forward to watching over the next 3 months. Episodes, potential speakers, and your line of thinking around the topic and why you chose it. So let's begin this time with Rachel.
Hi again.
Hey, Rachel.
Sorry.
I said, hey, Rachel.
Okay. So I am looking to cover two different topics this season. The first one being the lack of nutrition in prisons.
Mhm.
And that one, viewers can expect to hear a little bit about the different like effects that a lot of people face, like both mentally and physically, from not having adequate nutrition, and just like how important that actually is to your daily functioning. And we do actually have a confirmed speaker for that, and his name is Daniel Rosen, and he works with the Carceral Nutrition Coalition. So their specific kind of like mission is all within advocacy for the lack of nutrition across the prison system. So he'll be definitely a great person to talk to about that. And then the other topic that I'm covering this season is the link between solitary confinement and mental health. So this is obviously a very big topic in like the prison systems and social justice systems, but just kind of going into like the long-term effects of solitary confinement that I don't think people necessarily think about, and how that affects things like once you re-enter society and what we're really doing for people when we place them in there. Like, is it actually, as beneficial as some people may think versus the kind of implications of it? So, some good things happening over here.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. All right, who's next? Who wants to go next? All right, Josiah.
For the Justice Beat Talk show, I want to focus on like modern problems for like not modern, but like current problems right now
Mhm.
that's going on with minority communities. So I picked police reform and accountability because our new administration right now is actually trying to take away accountability from policemen when
Mhm.
they do commit crimes against citizens. So my episode focuses on what the effect the after effects or what may happen if this is taken away from us. And we're speaking
Mhm.
with Professor Reinhardt from Cardozo Law, and he has a focus on civil procedures, civil rights, constitutional law, and federal courts and prisoners' rights. And he's wrote an extensive amount of research covering police reform and policemen taking accountability. So
Okay,
super interesting.
that's a big talk. That's a big topic, and it really came up during the George Floyd situation, uh, the loss of life there, and several other similar situations where constituents, citizens were in an uproar because the accountability was lacking. And I think at that time there was also some discussion around making sure that the police officers were held accountable individually, not just through taking them to court, but also from an insurance standpoint. Like, people were also calling for officers to carry individual or private insurance because it's just an area where it's been longstanding that officers often are not held accountable for these situations. And I'm interested to see how your episode is built out and what your guest speakers take is on this, because we're about, what, 5 years out from the situation with George Floyd almost. I think May would be the 5th year. Yeah, that's a good topic. What's your next topic?
Well, I had one for the first episode, but obviously we had trouble with that. But it was along the same
Mhm.
lines with um, present problems going on within the Black community that need to be addressed. Like we just had a artist that was on trial for helping his community, basically. And so I was trying to speak to someone to talk about how they're trying to take away our rights our rights of expression and free speech
Mhm.
in the justice system, and use that against us in order systemically to oppress us and lock us up and not be able to use our voice.
Mhm.
Um, just matters that's been going on. George Floyd was very a prevalent problem within the community, but it's been going on for a long time that that police haven't been taking accountability for harming the Black community or, hurting us, since even like Rodney King and other people way, way before in the civil rights movement when injustices were
Mhm.
done and police haven't been held accountable. So been a problem, and I just wanted to highlight those problems and how they're still present in our community today.
Right. And another side to that issue, to complement that, is what's the aftermath to the community, or even to the harm done to the community as a whole, and the aftermath in terms of the family members who have to go on and figure out how to go on with their lives behind something like this. That's another angle as well.
Yeah, that is another angle. And from a psychological perspective, it just shows how the Black community struggles to trust the justice system, and how that trauma from the justice system is passed down generationally. And with this still going on today, it'll not only affect us, but it's going to affect our children, because this is our messages we're sending down. And if you can't trust the
Mm,
political system that you're pledging allegiance to, then you feel like an outcast.
mhm, mhm. I can see how that can happen, definitely. All right, so I'm sure that our viewers and listeners will be interested to turn in to hear some of these topics that you guys are putting together in these episodes you're putting together. All right, so let's go to Lauren.
Hi, everybody. Yes, so kind of just to echo what everybody was talking about. For my Justice Beat shows, I'm doing media influence on incarceration, and also like the choice of rehabilitation and the effects of what being incarcerated looks like outside of for people's families and when they get out of jail. I am also going to be interviewing Ion Bell to talk about the legal rights of juveniles within incarceration. So, talking a lot about what that means for them and what that looks like for people who are like under the age of 18. I'm really excited to get into that. I think it's some very important topics that are not usually talked about within incarceration discussions. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to dive in, and that will be taking place next weekend. My conversation with Ion about the legal rights of juveniles on the Justice Youth Talk Show, February 8th.
Okay, okay, I'm looking forward to that one. Okay,
Yes.
do you have another one you're working on?
And then I believe Just Us Youth, we
Hmm.
have another show. This is a little bit later in the year, but it's
Okay.
the incarceration of LGBTQ youth,
Hmm.
which is another extremely important conversation that is not usually talked about. And I'm really excited to be jumping into that as well.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That's great. All right. Did I leave anybody out?
Think you got
Fine.
everybody.
Okay. Okay. So now let's talk about, and up until we'll be taking a commercial break in about 2 minutes or so. Let's talk about what you have gathered in your research that is helping you to build out your episodes, something that you didn't know, you were not aware of. Okay. So we can kind of build out for the audience why they may want to tune in to particular episodes. So let's go to Rachel.
Yes. So in my research, I think one of the biggest things I kind of came across during I'll start with the kind of lack of nutrition in prison systems. When I was researching that, I think kind of the most prominent thing were the like long-term effects of this, and even just within like for testimonials and like kind of research gathered from people that have been in the prison system, and how that affects them psychologically to be treated as such, and kind of feels like a less than human type experience. So just thinking about that and like the connection between like that, the actual issue and what it causes for somebody. So that has been definitely really informative. And then within the solitary confinement and mental health, I think just like the extent to like which like how kind of far that like what we would think of like our human rights that kind of just get like pushed or completely disregarded, and just kind of like really that there's not like a lot of people within the prison system itself that really you're not seeing anybody obviously in like solitary confinement, and just the implications that has on an individual, and how isolation itself can cause some really damaging effects and even leave like trauma on an individual.
All right. So what I would encourage you all who are listening and or watching is if you have a loved one that is currently incarcerated, you really want to tune into this particular episode to learn about the effects of solitary confinement, learn about ways you can advocate on behalf of your loved one in the event they are in solitary confinement, and what are the responsibilities of the system when they place someone in solitary confinement, and what are the rights of the individual. So if you have someone that is currently incarcerated and in solitary confinement, you really want to tune into this particular episode. What's the date of this episode, Rachel?
I believe this is February 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, or March 15th.
March 15th. Okay, so mark
Yes.
your calendars for March 15th to lock in to listen in on the episode dealing with solitary confinement. We've reached our 10:30 mark. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we'll be back with you on the other side to discuss the rest of the episodes that we'll be presenting to you this season. See you in a moment.
All right, right back.
Introducing Next Generation Media Internship Program, designed for undergraduates, postgraduates, unemployed, dislocated workers, and WIOA participants. Our program offers remote virtual work experiences, qualifying as approved individualized career services. Learn while leading at your own pace, with part-time or full-time hours per week. Benefit from weekly debriefings and group supervision, along with our 15-minute masterclasses. Our projects include the Justice Beat Talk Show and the Just Us Youth Talk Show.
All right, we're back. So don't forget, we are in the running for the Entrepreneur of Impact Award. And we are currently in second place out of 20 entrepreneurs across the US. You will have an opportunity to see the commercial again at the end where you can scan the code, the QR code. All right, so we're back. Let's move on next to, let's see, Lauren. Why should people tune into your episodes? What are you hoping that they will get from it?
I think people should tune into my episodes because number one, like I previously stated, like these are topics that are not talked about enough. I think incarceration period is not talked about in depth enough, and the real implications, the intricacies behind it. I know specifically I was surprised to when I was researching next week's episode for Just Us Youth. I think I'm surprised to know how little I know about like constitutional rights and like criminal proceedings and what that looks like for juveniles and understanding the injustices that have happened. You know, I do very much understand the injustices that have happened, but I think um within the system a lot of things can get glossed over and a lot of things can get misconstrued and revamped into something that didn't even happen. So I think understanding all of this and having these conversations, because the big part about excuse me, learning is having the conversations and talking about what needs to be talked about. So I'm very excited to like jump into things that are not really explained, especially around children and kids who are within the incarceration system.
And I
Great.
just want to add behind your comment. I'm so very glad that you kind of went in depth with that, because one of the things that young people truly do not understand are their rights and what is required of them when they have police interactions. And sometimes you see events escalate because they just don't understand what is required of them and then what they also have a right not to engage in. So for those of you all who have young people who have already been introduced to the justice system, that's going to be a very important episode to tap into. Thank you for that.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for bringing up the rear on that one, Carla. Shazia, you're next.
I think it's important to tune into my episodes because it's about present problems, but they aren't new problems. So I feel like it's really important that they need to be addressed because these aren't new problems.
Mhm.
And I didn't really discuss my justice youth talk episodes, but those were those are very interesting to me as well. And I wasn't even aware that these problems exist. Well, I knew they existed, but I didn't understand the struggles of the
Mhm.
indigenous community, the youth
Mhm.
community, and policemen until I did the research.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand the struggles with that youth have once they foster out or juvenile, once they're released from the juvenile system. I didn't understand their reentry struggles either. And we'll be
Mm.
discussing that. And I feel like this is important information to know. And there are programs out there to help these um, children or young adults. And if you know someone or you have someone that is a child and there are programs and opportunities and people are willing to help in these areas. So I feel like that's important.
Great. That's great. Well, I know that from what I can see based on our weekly debriefings that we hold on Fridays and our group supervision that you guys are doing a bang up job in terms of building out your episodes, speaker selection, as well as the research that has gone into each episode. I'm looking forward to the season 8 episodes for both the Justice Beat and the Justice Youth. Um, I want to ask you this question. What would be currently, and although you got 2 more months to go, actually 3 more months to go, what would be the messaging you could take back to your community based on your time here that you didn't maybe understand before that you would take back to your family members or friends or your community about the need to advocate and be informed on incarceration issues or justice reform issues as a whole? Rachel.
I guess the first thing that's coming to my mind is kind of like the uh just kind of the assumption like bad people do bad things and how that is not accurate at all, and that I mean, there are, people do unfortunate things, but there's a lot of factors that can affect somebody's kind of cycle, and things that we don't see up front, and just making assumptions about people, particularly within the justice system or facing incarceration, and understanding that there's a lot of different things that go into that, instead of just like assuming they're not a great person.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are a lot of assumptions made. And
Mhm.
I think, who was the one doing on media? Was that Lauren? Did you mention the media piece? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
See, the media plays a tremendous part in how they put together the visual or even the written word around justice issues and who's impacted by the justice system. And so your assessment about the messaging, Rachel, is very much on point, because you're right. There are a lot of other factors that oftentimes that go into a person's involvement with the justice system that is often not talked about, past traumas, etc. But then when you get a hold of that story, how the media treatment that is applied to that story is very important. And that's why one of the reasons why we did put this program together is that we were hoping that the next generation of activists, counselors, etc., would have a different lens to look through, having done the research, having participated in interviewing people, to carry a message, a more informed message back to their respective communities. Okay. All
I
right.
want
Go
to
ahead, Carla.
before you move on, I just also want to share, as didn't mention earlier, that I'm based here in Memphis, so I have a very large platform to kind of pour into the youth program, and just want to highlight a particular story here. So as we're talking about trauma and how young people, what their home life is like, kind of spills over into what they do every day. So we had a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old just 2 days ago attempted to break into a home, and the homeowner was home. The young people didn't know that, but the 14-year-old was killed by the homeowner. The 16-year-old was also hit, and they're charging the 16-year-old with first-degree murder, and they're as an adult, and they're going to charge the 11-year-old, an 11-year-old with first-degree murder as from a juvenile state. Now, this is just the beginning stages. Now, the grandmother of the 14-year-old says she saw this coming. There were no parents to speak on this 14-year-old's behalf. But the grandmother made a point. She said they didn't do this on their own. There was someone behind what they did, meaning that there are adults who are in the criminal world who are pushing our young people to do things they probably otherwise wouldn't do. So when we talk about the background, we're talking about trauma, we have to look at, why does an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old line up with someone to do this type of work? What's going on in their personal life? What adult is behind them making these decisions? And now you have a 14-year-old who's lost his life, and two young people who are now being introduced to the justice system with very serious charges. And those are the type of things I want to make sure our young people understand, who they're connected to, why they're connected to people, and where it can ultimately lead.
And I would add to that perspective around an adult being behind this. I would also want to add that value systems are very important, and not to value the sanctity of life is a big problem. That has to be demonstrated and shown to young people I'm not sure about this adult that's being referenced, but at some level, when you're in a home raising a child, what you demonstrate and what you say and how you carry out your behaviors towards other people and them as well, they need to understand life is important and to respect life. And a lot of what we're seeing is a lack of respect and for human life that is very disturbing. And how do we address that is another angle that we hopefully can try to address as well.
And let
Okay,
me
go ahead.
clarify. And you made a good point because you didn't understand my reference to the adult. We're talking about adult criminal entities that push young people into criminal activity, because the thought is that whatever punishment you get won't be as harsh as the one that an adult would get. So we're talking about adults who are pushing young people into activities that end up this way. And
So
I
that's
know
so.
here in Memphis, that's a large problem. When we get in and we begin to talk to these young people, we find out that there was someone else that they were connected to who's an adult that pushed them to do that. For the
Okay, good.
reason being, they wouldn't get as much time.
Thank you for bringing that clarification to that, because I
Yes.
think about a lot of times as some of these things are gang initiations, and a whole lot of other adult related behavior and actions that need to be addressed on so many different levels. Okay, Shazia, why should someone, our viewers, listening audience, tune into your episodes, and what do you think they would glean from it?
I think I just answered that question.
Did you go first?
Yeah, like I just answered that. And I spoke
Okay,
about the reentry programs and
Mm-hmm.
debriefing.
okay, Zaya. Okay, great. Did I miss anybody else? Rachel, Lauren, Zaya. Okay, all right, got you. All right, so it's a quarter till 11, 10:45, and at this point, we normally take questions from the audience. And I want to check in with Jules to see if we have any questions coming across any of the social media platforms. Although this is not a regular episode, we're spending more time on making everyone aware about our episodes and why they should tune in. Do you have any questions coming forth, Jules?
Nope, not right now. We don't have any questions.
Okay, great. I do want to acknowledge that we've got folks watching and tuning in, and I think they're really glued to what we're saying, and we appreciate you. This is our new format. Typically, when we launch on the first Saturday of February, we typically launch with an episode. But this season, Carla had a great idea in that we would just make this our first episode, the discussion of the internship program, introducing our production team, and talking about upcoming episodes for the season for both Just Us Beat and Just Us Youth. So we thank you for joining in and tapping in. And don't forget to share and like and comment and let folks know that we're here. We very much appreciate that. All right, Carla.
Yes, well, I just want to give an opportunity just to, thank our interns for being here as well, but I also want to put a plug in for some things. One being today is February the 1st. This is a great day to start our show. It is Black History Month. And I am so excited for all the information that has been shared today, not just for the Black community, but for our underserved communities. It doesn't matter. This is information that you all need. This is a great day to begin highlighting some of the things that our associate producers have said that they weren't really aware of. And sometimes, when we're growing up, we become unintentionally isolated in our life. And then when we grow and we begin to, spread our wings, we begin to see that there are things going on in the world that we need to lend a hand to. So I want to first of all thank our interns for being here, for finding a need within themselves to know more about what's going on where the social justice and criminal justice system is involved. And I also want to talk about a book that I written. back in 2020. It was the summer of 2020, just on the heels of the George Floyd murder. And the Love Project, as you see, is one of the activities that I'm involved here in Memphis, Tennessee. And I'll jump back to the book in just a minute. Love Project is a project where we go out on the streets on Thursday nights. We are giving out care bags and essential needs to women on the streets here in Memphis, Tennessee, along the Summer Avenue area. And that's one of the projects that I've lent my hand to. And we see anywhere from 30 to 40 women a night. These are women who are in abusive relationships, some who have been, for whatever reason, have addictions have taken over their lives. And we just want to provide them with some comfort that is necessary to help them move through life in as much as we're able. And once again, going back to the book, the summer of 2020, it's a poetry book where I am discussing some events that happened during that summer, some before and some after. And it's a book really about wanting people to pause and give personal reflection as to where you are in the place of social justice. What are you doing? Where do you find your place? So it's just not a book of poetry, but it's asking a question to those of us who know, for those of us who are responsible, and more so to my Christian brothers and sisters. Where are you at in this fight? Are you going to continue to be silent, or are you going to step up and make a difference, as I see our young people are doing here? And the first way to make a difference is to become informed, to know what's going on in your community, knowing what's going on in the lives of your young people. So this book, the summer of 2020, I had it republished by the City of Books. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes and Nobles, online. Please, this book is a good place to be in conversations with people, with individuals, with families, and even young people, to say, ask them, what are you doing? How can I help? What do you need? And then for you yourself to reflect on, where have you been silent? Where are you not going? Who are you not helping? And how can you move in a way that lets people know that you care and that you are concerned? So get it online at Amazon, Barnes and Noble online. The City of Books is the publisher, and it's the summer of 2020, and written by Carla Y. Sutton McKinney. I just want to make sure, as we begin this Black History Month with the show, put a plug for the book, because I want to encourage us that we need to do better.
All right. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing it. And it's great. You also great read. You'll probably read it 2 or 3 times over, and it's very thought provoking. So I would encourage you, when you have an opportunity, to check that out. So I want to
really sorry to interrupt, but we have a video. Did you want me to?
Sure,
Yes,
please.
go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Thank you.
Awake, justice, change. In the face of injustice and inhumanity, we were called to awaken, to examine our hearts and our faith. This summer was not just a season. It was a call to action, a demand for justice. In this powerful collection of reflections, we journey through a season of change, truth, and hope. Summer of 2020. Available now.
All right, there it is. No
Thank
excuse
you.
now. I'm going to go get it. Thanks, Jules. I appreciate that. Good job. All right. So, we're going to wrap up this first episode for season 8. I want to make sure that I give any last comments to the production team. Is there anything anyone wants to add? Rachel, Jules, Lauren, Josiah? All right. Thank you so very much to everyone that's watching on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on our Facebook, on Instagram. We thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on next Saturday. We air every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. as well as YouTube. Please make sure you share with your family and friends, and we will see you next Saturday. Make it a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Justice Beat. If you like what you heard and found the information useful, then support the Justice Beat radio show by spreading the word and telling a friend.
Introducing Next Generation Media Internship Program, designed for undergraduates, postgraduates, unemployed, dislocated workers, and WIOA participants. Our program offers remote virtual work experiences, qualifying as approved individualized career services. Learn while leading at your own pace, with part-time or full-time hours per week. Benefit from weekly debriefings and group supervision, along with our 15-minute masterclasses. Our projects include the Justice Beat Talk Show and the Just Us Youth Talk.